Hey guys, I'm Goldimon, and I think I've gathered enough experience and knowledge in Soprano pets that I'm, let's say, qualified enough to put together a tier list of my own. Some disclaimers: this is definitely gonna be a subjective tier list. This is only my opinion. I think it's quite well informed, as I said, but still, it's just my opinion about the current state of the game. And one more disclaimer: when we're gonna rate the pets, you have to keep the tiers in mind. Like an tier 1 unit is definitely not as strong as a tier 6 A unit. Like if we're gonna put both the ant and let's say the tiger in A, they're definitely not on the same power level. They're just A tier for their respective timeline of their tiers. So with all that being said, let's get started. Okay, so it looks like they're we're gonna rate them in alphabetical order and on tier order. So let's start with tier 1 with letter A, ant. Okay, I definitely think the ant is at least A tier or maybe even S tier. Honestly, I think we're gonna leave it on S tier. I always buy an ant whenever I get the chance to buy one, at least in the early rounds. And maybe even mid rounds, it depends. One thing that is amazing about the ant is the fact that you can get the buff from it permanently with the pill. That's actually a really big bonus for this unit. And just the stats you gain from it. It's a 2-1 unit, and you get 2 more attack and 1 more HP from the buff. It's good stats for a tier 1 unit. Okay, the beaver. It has decent stats. A 2-2 unit, which gives you 2 more HP when you sell it. I don't really like buying it, but I think it's not the worst unit. It's either B or C, honestly. Like, the stats on it are decent, but yeah, let's just leave it in B right now. We're gonna take an overlook on these units when we finish the tier, when we get to the crab. Okay, the cricket. I think cricket is definitely a strong B unit. It's good enough. Most of the times the token unit is gonna make a difference between winning and losing. It's pretty good, and one bonus from it is that you can pair it really well with the horse early, so it's an okay-ish unit. The duck. Okay, really low stats, but a really good ability. One thing that you definitely know about the duck is that if you buy it early game, you are going to lose early rounds. But if you get at least 3 or 4 ducks in the first 2 rounds, after you sell them for the tier 2 units, for example a dodo or a dog, even an elephant maybe, you're going to really overwhelm your opponents into the mid game. So they're a really good investment, but they're definitely a high risk, high reward unit. So with that being said, I think we'll leave them in A, honestly. No, it's either a strong B or a weak A. Okay, let's just leave them in A right now. Fish, honestly, I always buy it. It's super strong early game, and the level up definitely wins you more rounds with the bonus stats. Horse, we'll give him C. We'll give him C. The stats are just too weak. I mean, you can early game, the horse only takes advantage of the cricket. Anything else doesn't work really well with the horse, unless you have the horse in the shop and then you buy a unit and it buffs it for 1 round. for one more attack. So yeah, I mean, it can work, but yeah, it's not strong, definitely not strong. Mosquito, that's a strong B for me. I always love buying it because it has decent stats to attack 2 HP. I love his ability, that's why I always buy him when I get a chance, because it's just fun RNG to play with. But yeah, definitely not higher than B. Okay, one of my personal favorites, honestly, the Otter. I think the other has to go in A. 1-2 stats, and you get +1/+1 from it. Again, I really love playing with the RNG in this game, so the random buff on this guy can, well, the bad thing about randomness is that it can bite you in the ass and buff something that you wanted to sell in the next couple of rounds, so the buff is useless, but still, it can work really well. I usually buy it when I have the chance. Big, it's okay. It has good stats, and you get a good return on your investment with its ability. It's okay. It's a strong C. Maybe a weaker B, but I would just place him in C. Okay, that's tier 1 for now. We just finished tier 1. Let's see. Any changes to this? My top 2, definitely Ant and Fish. Yeah, honestly, maybe we could bump Mosquito to A, but nah. The RNG can honestly screw you up so many times in so many different occasions. It happened to me a million times to hit a camel or a blowfish with this Mosquito and just biting us back in the ass. I think this is okay for tier 1. Okay, let's start with tier 2. We're gonna start with the crab. I like the crab, but the thing about it is that it cannot work on its own. You definitely need a high HP unit for this crab to be good. But a plus side for it is that you can just buy the default stats crab and buff it to 50 HP if you have one big unit, so that's a really easy way to build a really tanky team. And with a meatbone on it, that's a pretty decent unit. It gets countered by the dolphins, because they can get sniped before they activate their ability. But you don't usually see too many dolphins, honestly. People don't try that. I usually get dolphins to actually try to counter the really big influx of crab builds we've been seeing because of Northernlion recently. So yeah, it's definitely it's a powerful unit, but it can't work on its own. But if you manage to make it work, it's really powerful. It's definitely an A, maybe even an S, but we'll see. We'll see in the end after the tier review. Okay, Dodo. Okay, this guy used to be super broken last patch when he used to buff 3 units on level 3, but now he only gets a multiplier on his buff, which is still really good, honestly. I think he's still super strong, and he definitely needs some readjustments for level 2 and 3. Instead of double his attack on level 2, I think it should be toned down to maybe 1.5 multiplier, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they'll leave it like it is. Okay, even after the nerf, I think it's an 8 tier animal. But it like the crab, it can't work on its own. You need another unit to buff. And you also need to scale it for it to work. You can't have a default Dodo in your team. You need to buff its attack. Okay, the dog. Okay, stats. The ability is okay, but you really have to spend a lot of money to buff this guy. If you decide you want to go for a dog, you really need to invest in it. Like, keep buying units and keep selling them, buying otters, buying beavers, maybe even ducks, to definitely pigs, because you get money when you sell it. Yeah, it has high potential, but you definitely need to invest if you want to use it. So honestly, I think it's a strong B. A less powerful A. We'll just leave it like this. Elephant, really good stats. Its ability is technically a downside, but as you guys probably know, the classic combo is elephant with the blowfish or camel behind. Stats wise, it's a pretty good unit. That's a fact. 3 attack and 5 HP is definitely strong for tier 2, but you definitely need one more unit to make him strong. And he falls really fast out of power. He's strong in mid game, but you definitely need to replace him as you get into late game. So honestly, I never buy it. I don't like it. I don't like playing around it with the blowfish and a camel. Even though I really like their abilities, the fish and the camel. So yeah, we'll just leave him on C. He can work if you get his best friends, the blowfish and camel. Flamingo, I think he's one of the underrated animals in the standard pack. Honestly, I think it's pretty strong. I don't think it's A worthy, but it's definitely a strong B. It has good enough attack to maybe kill one unit in the front, 3 attack. And here's a buff. You get +2/+2 other stats. Is pretty solid, honestly. Paired with a whale, this guy is actually pretty strong. Yeah, we'll leave him in B for now. And now one of my personal favorites, the hedgehog. Man, I think, let's say 5 times out of 10, I will buy a hedgehog if I get the chance. He honestly can work. If you have high HP units that survive his blast, I think he's pretty strong for your team. He can definitely win you rounds. With that being said, still, it's kind of a meme pet, and most of the times he screws you up, so we'll just leave him and see. I don't think it's garbage, definitely not garbage. Peacock, good HP, bad attack. His ability is okay, but it's not that strong. Most of the time he hits like twice. It's still a C for me. Hey, the rat. This is our first D tier animal. I don't think it needs explaining. But still. 5/4 stats. The stats are definitely good, but he has a really big downside, which is why he's in D. He spawns a unit for your enemy, which most of the time it's gonna win the round for him. That's pretty much a given. Whenever you buy a rat, you should accept the fact that the 1/1 rat is most likely gonna screw you up. Yeah. The shrimp, okay. Let's see. What do we think about the shrimp? Really trash stats. Nice ability, but still you need to work around for it. You really need to invest in the shrimp to make it work. I don't really like it. I tried it a couple of times. It didn't really work out for me. I don't really like playing around for it. So honestly, for me, I don't think it's garbage. It's a lower C unit, honestly. Okay, the spider. One of the better tier 2 units, honestly, but not that strong either. Maybe a solid C or a B. Well, honestly, let's leave him on B, because it's definitely possible to get a turtle, a kangaroo, a sheep. I mean, if you get lucky with the spider, it definitely can win it around. Okay, we'll definitely leave him on B. Okay, Swan, a personal favorite of mine. I always buy Swan when I say it. It has incredible stats for tier 2. It has a really underrated ability, +1 gold. Honestly, that's a free roll every turn. That's, in my eyes, that's really strong, honestly. Like, one free shop. It might not seem like much, but over time, that gold accumulates. I mean, it doesn't get saved up between rounds, but you know what I'm saying. You get one free shop every shop round, and if you get it to level 2, that's almost one free unit for you. So I don't think it's super strong, but it's definitely A plus. Yeah, one of the better tier 2 units, definitely. Okay, that's it for tier 2. Let's see, do we need to make any adjustments? It looks like we don't have any S tier 2 units. Everything looks fine to me. I don't think the crab is super strong. Yeah. Okay, this looks fine. Most of them are A, B, and or C. Well, all of them are except for the rat, actually. Okay, let's advance to tier 3. Okay, let's start with the badger. Well, it's a pretty strong unit, but he's kind of a the word that came to me was niche unit, but mm, I feel I usually buy it whenever I get a fast one. Like if it's turn 5 and we get the badger instantly, I might buy it. It's super strong with the honey on it. In the last position with honey on it, it usually wins the round. Honestly, it's definitely not a good unit to keep for longer than mid game, but for mid game, honestly, it's a powerful unit. I'll take it. Yeah, or maybe B. Okay, let's leave him on B because without the honey, he usually kind of sucks. Yeah, B is okay for him. Blowfish, another favorite because of his RNG. I usually pair him with a hedgehog to get hit. It's not that good on its own. He most likely only activates his ability once. If you don't buff him with only 5 HP, that's enough to maybe get hit twice. So that means you get just one instance of his ability, which is 2 damage, which is not good enough, honestly. But if you buff him and if you get him to level 2, he can work. I think he's decent as well. Maybe I'm biased because I really love the RNG, but I think he's okay. Camel. Camel. The camel can be really strong for your team. If you get a big camel with a garlic on it, that's honestly enough to carry you through almost late game. It's decent. It's decent, yeah. I don't think it's powerful enough. If you don't buff it, it doesn't really work. Giraffe. I know people really like the giraffe. I mean, not really like it in a S tier sense, but I know for most players the giraffe should be in A maybe or a strong B, but for me honestly it's a C. The +1/+1 is okay, but the stats are too low for me honestly. You give up too much power for this ability. Unless you can afford it, then that's fine, okay. If you have like 3 really big units in front, you can afford to get a really weak giraffe in the back. Other than that, if you don't have a strong enough team to win with this weak giraffe in your team, then it's definitely not good. Kangaroo. Honestly, might be an S tier for me. Its ability is definitely really strong, but well, now to think about it, he doesn't really work on its own. He needs a big unit in front of him. So he might be a strong A. Yeah, strongish sounds fine for the kangaroo. Okay, the ox, one of the most underrated animals, honestly. Even though I've started to see him more and more often lately, people are starting to pick up on it. I think it's really strong, honestly. He usually kills two animals. It's definitely a solid A. It's not super strong, but it's a really powerful unit, especially if you pair him with a summon unit in front of him. Like if you have a spider in front of him, he gets buffed twice, and that should be 5 attack with the melon. Most of the time that's 2 kills in if you manage to get him when you unlock him, which is turn 5. Rabbit, it's a garbage unit, let's face it. It can work, but nah, he's definitely weaker than all of these units. I don't like him. I bought him once, just because I got him from a level up, and that was it. Okay, we got a sheep. We got a sheep now. We got the sheep. I think it's a decent unit. It has good stats. I mean, it only has two stats, but he with the rams that it spawns after it dies, that's 6 worth of stats. So for a tier 3 unit, that's decent. And you can also pair it up really well with a whale, maybe a horse, but yeah, it can work. It's decent. It's a decent unit. The snail. A unit. Definitely. I mean, it's really strong, but you can only use him when you lose, so... And you're gonna just use him for to buff your team. Well, actually, maybe we can place him in S, but only if you lose. Like if you don't activate its ability, you don't even think about buying him. So I don't know. Compared to these two other units, I definitely buy them when I see them. This guy doesn't work most of the times when you see him, but if you actually lost, his buff is really strong. So okay, we'll leave him and see. He's a weak ass unit. Turtle. Well, honestly, turtle is an A for me. The melon is a really strong food item, and you can even use him with a whale to get 2 melons, one on the whale and one on the unit behind the whale. And you can use him with a pill, so you can get a melon permanently and even earlier than you should have a melon armor on a unit. It has okay stats, 2 damage, 4 HP. Yeah, it's a good A unit. Maybe not the most powerful in this tier, but it's a good unit. The whale, a really fun pet to play with. The whale only works if you have something good to use its ability with, a good summon unit or a good fainting unit. So it has good stats. I think most of the time, if you have a good unit, the whale is really strong, and it's a definite must buy if you want to go for a summon build. So we'll just leave him in A. I think it's definitely better than these units, but it's situational. Bison. Honestly, Bison is a personal favorite of mine, and it's super strong. People honestly underestimate how strong the Bison can be. Like, if I get an early level 2 or a level 2 plus unit, like level 2 1 copy in the first 3 rounds, let's say, I'm definitely strongly considering to start rolling for a level 3 unit and just go for a Bison build. If you get a good unit to level 3, like I don't know, the ant, the fish is okay, because until level 3 you get you get some good buffs. Or maybe even a swan, an otter, but not the best. Yeah. If you get a good level 3 unit, the bison is super strong with it. And it honestly carried me through so many 10 win runs. But he needs a level 3 unit to pop off. He can work with himself, by the way. If you get a level 3 bison, he buffs himself, but you're never gonna get a level 3 bison. So yeah. Just because he's completely useless if you don't have a level 3 unit, we're just gonna leave him in A. But if you have a level 3 unit early, and it would be perfect to have one before turn 7 when you unlock him. If you get a level 3 early unit, yeah, you should definitely go for a bison build. Best case scenario, you get a level 3 unit, and from its level up on turn 5 you get a bison, and that should be a 10-minute run. You should have so much time to just kill this guy. And paired with a monkey or a giraffe maybe, you can just keep scaling this guy, and he should be too big for your opponents to deal with. It should kill you if you get a perfect scenario for it. Okay, the deer. If you get an early deer, it can carry you through a couple of rounds, even without a whale. He's definitely an A unit. He has a free buff. If you don't have a whale, he can bite you back in the ass with the 1-1 deer before the boss gets spawned in. Like, it can hit a deer, or it can hit a unit that buffs a kangaroo, or it can even get eaten by a hippo, which kind of sucks because he gets buffed for free by this 1-1 unit. But most of the time that doesn't happen, and the chili is actually really strong early. And, well, not early, but mid game, when the deal becomes available. If you get an early deal from a level up, that's crazy strong. You should definitely buy it. Yeah, it's a strong A unit. Dolphin. Really fun ability, but 5 times out of 10, the dolphin is not gonna kill anything. But he can snipe really strong units like a turkey, a fly, even a low HP crab before it gets time to buff itself. I think it's a decent unit, at least in my opinion. Some people might place him in C. Hippo, a really fun frontline unit. Really good stats, really good ability. Oh wait, we got to deal 4 with the bison. Yeah, this is deal 4, all 3 units. Wait, let's see if we can, if we want to make some changes. But yeah, let's not place them back. Let's just look like this. Maybe I would place the badger on C compared to these other tier 3 units. But now he's strong on it. He's strong. He's definitely strong as well. Okay, let's actually get the blowfish to C, because you don't really make too much use of his ability. He's definitely situational. Yeah, he should be in C. Okay, let's get back to tier 4 with the bison and the deer and the dolphin. Honestly, my hunch is to get the hippo on A, but to get a good hippo going, you definitely need to scale him. Like, if he doesn't get a kill, he's completely useless. He's a very snowbally unit, but if he doesn't snowball, then he's completely useless. So with that being said, honestly, he doesn't really fit in B. He should be in A. Yeah, he should be maybe a lower A unit, but no, he's a decent A unit. Okay, monkey. Really weak stats, but a really good buffing ability. Honestly, this should be an A. Yeah, it should be an A. Yeah, penguin. I don't really like it. I don't even usually consider buying it. Most of the times you only have one or maybe two level 2 units to buff with the penguin. So most of the time a monkey is better because you just buff one unit but for higher stats. Yeah, I think it's a C unit. It can work, yeah, it definitely can work if you have a lot of level 2 or higher units. Rooster. The Rooster is super strong, but only if you buff his attack. And to buff its attack to really high values, you need a Dodo. I would place him in super strong, but he's really reliable on either scaling. But you don't usually buff a Rooster with a penguin or a monkey. You usually have a Dodo behind it, which is honestly still a really strong combo. Like that strategy should be in S, to the two of them together, but on their own they're both A. Honestly, they're both really strong. The skunk, one of the most underrated units in the game. I'd never see skunks in play. I wish I could see more of them. I mean, not against me because they're actually strong, but I wish more people would begin to discover his power levels. A level 2 skunk can actually really turn it around in your favor. Like from a 50 HP unit, a level 2 skunk takes it to like 13 HP. That's a lot of damage, and that it usually hits his front line, so that should probably guarantee a kill for your front line. Or if not a kill, it should guarantee a trade that if your front line hits his high HP unit, they at least both of them die. Yeah, I think it's an A unit for me. Level 1 skunk is not that strong, but if you stick with it and get a level 2 skunk, it's super strong. It has okay stats for tier 4 for a tier 4 unit. It's not that great stats wise, but yeah, I honestly like it. Most of the time, if I'm going for a sniping build, for example, a dolphin, croc, or snake, I usually take it. Yeah, maybe it's not on the same level as this guy's, but it's definitely a B plus or an A minus unit. Yeah, we'll just leave him in here. But I'm conflicted between placing him in A or B, honestly. Okay, let's leave him on B right now. Yeah. Okay, squirrel. Fills your shop with food items. Complete garbage. It definitely needs a buff. Maybe the food items that you get from it should be reduced in cost. I don't know, it definitely needs a buff. I never bought it. In 100 hours of game time, I've never bought it. Not even to see how the whole shop filled with food looks like. Okay, the worm. The worm is definitely a C tier unit. It's pretty bad. You need to invest a lot of money into this guy to scale him. Although he can work, he definitely can work. If you decide early on that you want to go for a worm build and you get an early worm and you start buffing it, you can get a pretty solid team with it. Okay, we got the cow next. We're actually on to tier 5 right now. I don't think we're gonna make any changes. Yeah. Dolphin, nah, dolphin's okay. We don't have too many C or D units in tier 4. Only the worm and the squirrel and the penguin, I think. Okay, let's go on to tier 5. The cow is definitely an S unit. You always want to buy it, always. Even if you don't have free space on your team, which you definitely don't have, because that late game into the game you are definitely not playing with 4 units. But 9 out of 10 times you definitely try to sell something to get this cow in and get the milk. Yeah, It's definitely a super strong unit. Croc. Okay, 7 damage to the last unit. I think it's a B plus unit. It's a pretty glass cannony unit. It has high attack, low HP. But its ability honestly is decent. It usually snipes either a buffing unit like a monkey or a, I don't know, penguin, something of the sorts, which doesn't really sway the round in your favor, isn't that helpful. But if you go up if you go up against a turkey fly team or something similar, this croc has enough damage to kill them. So that should honestly win you the round. Yeah, I think it's a B unit. We'll leave him on B. Okay, Parrot. I think I only bought him once. And I've played against him like 3 or 4 times. I think it's not on the same level as this guy's. He's really situational. Most of the time you don't have enough space for this guy in your team. I don't think it's as weak as this guy's, as I said, but it's worse than this guy's. Yeah. Just think about him as a D plus unit. Rhino, one of my most beloved units. I really love getting a level 2 Rhino and making him work. He's a really fun unit to play with, especially if he gets going. Like the Hippo, he usually doesn't stop. Level 1 Rhino isn't that strong, doesn't manage to kill too many units with his ability, but a level 2 Rhino is definitely really strong. But to get a Hippo going, you really need good stats on it. Like most of the time when you play with a Rhino, he might kill a unit, but he definitely dies in the process. So that means his ability doesn't pop. Yeah, just because he's a tier 5 unit and you don't have enough time to scale it, like the only chance you kind of have to get a big Rhino is to buy a lot of canned food along the way until you unlock him. Maybe an early Rhino from a level up could be really strong. It doesn't really happen too often, unfortunately. So yeah, let's just get him a B. Most of the time he doesn't work, but his ability is fun and pretty strong. Scorpion. Honestly, I would place him in S. Yeah, I think we'll do it. We'll place him in S. The only thing about it is he doesn't kill melon armor units. But still, even if it doesn't kill them, it pops the melon, and then your front line that should have been in front, but of course the Scorpion goes in the front. The front line was behind your Scorpion is gonna have an easier time dealing with his front line that doesn't have a melon anymore. But most of the time, honestly, the enemies won't have a melon on their front line, so the Scorpions should honestly win you most of the rounds you use them on. Okay, the Seal. The Seal is an interesting unit. I don't really like it because it's RNG based. I mean, compared to the other RNG units, this is not a fun RNG unit. You just get random buffs. It doesn't it's not interesting to see it pop. It's not fun to see who he's gonna buff. Yeah. The garbage or a really low C unit. Now let's leave him in garbage. He can't work. I bought him like twice and tried to make him work, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't. Maybe he needs a buff. Yeah, he definitely needs a buff, but I don't know what the buff could be. Maybe instead of +1/+1 to 2 units, increase it to +2/+2. Maybe he would be worth buying then. Yeah, maybe. Okay, the Shark now. Interesting unit. You always keep him in the back of your team. Without units that summon more units like the fly, or I don't know, just a whale sheep combo, or a whale spider, well deal. Without more units than just the regular 400 units you would have with this guy in your team, he doesn't really scale well. But if you have a good team built around him, he's okay-ish. I don't think he's A tier, but he's an okay, not a strong B unit, but he's an okay B unit, in my opinion at least. Yeah, definitely not higher. Okay, and the last for tier 5, the turkey. Turkey is an A unit, definitely A unit. Not an S. It's not an insta buy, and it definitely doesn't work on its own. It's a support unit, but if you have summons, or even just a whale with one unit like a tier, it's still pretty strong. It's definitely the let's say the bread for the bread and butter of the summoner build, which would be bread and butter would be turkey and fly. So let's say he's the bread, and we're gonna get to the butter in just a couple of seconds. Okay, so this is tier 5. Okay, we only have one A unit, 2 S units, 3 B units, and 2 D units. Okay, this looks fine. I think, yeah, we're not gonna make any changes. Okay, and we got two tier 6 of animals. Cat. Honestly, I've grown to like the cat. I don't think it's really powerful, and you definitely need to, if you buy it, you need to invest more gold in food. But if you get an early cat, if you still have time to scale, like if you're not on your last game or your last HP, the cat is definitely a really good unit to scale your team with. So honestly, I don't think it can go higher than B, but it's an okay-ish unit. It can work, especially with a cow. Like, instead of getting +4/+4 border stats, the cow gives you +8/+8. And if you manage to get 2 cows with the cat already in your team, that's +16/+16. So yeah, it's definitely a decent unit. It can work. The dragon. The dragon, one of the units in the game that I have less experience with, honestly. I don't usually buy it because it's most of the time when you unlock tier 6, your team is pretty well structured already and pretty stable, and you don't usually have 2 empty spaces or 2 units that you can replace for the dragon, and then for the tier 1 units that you have to buy for the buffs. Although I've seen a pretty decent amount of people that use the dragon and have really big units. Most of the time, if you go up against a really good dragon team, you're gonna lose. So that being said, I think he's decent. Yeah, but if you unlock his full potential, he's strong. Definitely strong. Fly. Okay. Fly, a really situational unit, really strong for the summoner strategy with the turkey. He can work with the shark build, where you get the shark and the fly in the back, and you just spawn a million units, and the shark goes to like probably 50/50. But that strategy kind of sucks because you pretty much bank it all on your shark, and that's just one unit that will probably not be enough to carry you through the late game, because shark and fly build is definitely a late game strategy. Okay, so really weak stats. Its ability is really situational. Oh wait. Okay, fly was first. Really situational, really weak stats. Its ability spawns really weak units as well. It can screw you up as well if you go up against the hippo or something else. Like maybe garlics. Yeah. I don't really like placing it in C. Yeah, okay, let's actually place it in C, because it can work, but without these two specific strategies with the summoner build, I mean, it's really strong in the summoner build, don't get me wrong, but outside the summoner build and the strike build, which is weaker than the summoner build, of course, outside those two builds, the fly is completely useless. You don't even consider buying it if you're not going for the summoner build. Gorilla, okay. It can work, but I don't think any of you guys has ever seen a gorilla build be strong. I think he's a straight up D unit. His ability is cool, it can be strong, but let's face it, most of the time it doesn't pop, and it's not enough to make him strong. Okay, the leopard, a really fun unit. What can we say about this guy? He's really fun to play with. He definitely needs high stats to be useful, and you definitely need a level 2 leopard to be useful. He's a decent unit, he's not powerful, but his ability can work, especially with the tiger. He's a potential carry for your team, but most of the time he's an okay unit that maybe snipes a melon or something. He's okay. The mammoth, okay, I've seen a couple of good mammoth builds, honestly. Some people manage to make it work, maybe with the whale, maybe with a level 3 mammoth, but most of the time it's not enough, and it's not worth buying late game for your team. I think it's a decent C tier unit. Okay, and now two of my favorite units, the snake and the tiger. Okay, we're starting with the snake, of course. I think he's a powerful unit, definitely a powerful unit. He's not S tier because he definitely relies on a really big unit to be in front of him. If you don't have a unit that can attack at least, but let's say at least 2 times, because 2 times is okay with a level 2 snake, but let's actually say at least 3 times. If your frontline doesn't attack at least 3 times, this guy doesn't do too much. But usually late game in tier 6 you have a pretty good frontline, so this guy should be really useful if you manage to get him. And the tiger, last but not least. Honestly, this is definitely the most versatile unit in the game. It definitely doesn't do anything on its own, and it has terrible stats, but you can get so creative with the tiger, man. You can place it behind the shark, that's a classic combo. Behind the snake, I meant to say. You're just gonna snipe his whole team. You can even place it behind a turkey for a summoner build without a fly. Definitely, you can see very high chances of success behind a turkey with a level 2 turkey. With a level 1, it's not that great. You should rather get a fly, but with a level 2 turkey, the tiger is pretty strong. You can use it with the rooster, tiger in 5th slot and rooster in 4th slot. Best case scenario, level 2 rooster, that would be, because you would spawn 4 chicks. That's a pretty crazy build. One more fun little strategy that I like to do is tiger behind the whale, and the whale swallows a deer, because that's gonna spawn 2 deers when the whale dies, and then one deer spawn. The first deer spawns 1 boss, and then the second deer spawns 2 bosses. That's really cool. That's 4 bosses in total. Let's see. You can even use him with the rhino. You can use him with a hippo, with a leopard. Use him in a lot of ways, man. It's a really fun unit to play with. Yeah, he's definitely worth the S tier. Whenever I see a tiger, I usually think about, okay, how can I fit this tiger into my team? He's at that kind of strongness. Okay, so I guess that sums it up. That's my tier list. If you guys have any suggestions, any changes, any objections, any feedback, I'm happy to hear it in the comments. I hope I gave some good insight on how I think about these animals and why I think they're in their respective tiers. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful and entertaining, a little bit at least. Goodbye, boys.